If someone went through what you are currently going through, could give you some tips to make your journey a little less bumpy, would you listen to them? We all make mistakes, and when we know better, we usually do better. But when you're new at something, you don't have that experience to draw from to make the best decisions. So watch this video if you want to learn about the mistakes that new teachers make so that you don't stumble over these same things. After I tell you what the mistake is, I will then tell you how to avoid them. So I talked about classroom management mistakes new teachers make, and you can find that video here. This video includes classroom management mistakes and more. And these are things that I think are just as important to mention. And I've been guilty of all these things, so please learn from my mistakes so that you can be more ahead of where I was. So let's get started. So the first mistake new teachers make is not building relationships with the parents right away. Building relationships with anyone can be hard, but when you add on the fact that you're an introvert or you're new and you probably have some type of imposter syndrome going on, it could be difficult because you're always thinking about if that person is judging you. The other side of that is not thinking that it mattered too much because you're there for the children and you're making these connections with them. So you kind of neglect the relationship that matters as well, and that's with the parents. So if you're thinking that, well, that shouldn't really make a difference and that's all that matters, that's not really all that matters. So what you have to be cognizant of is the fact that they are an extension of the community that you are building in the classroom. So this is something that you don't want to miss out on. And like I said, it can feel daunting. I understand that. It matters when you are having some problems in your classroom, whether it is a behavior problem. You want to have that foundation built with all of your parents, but especially with parents of children who are having some challenges in the classroom. You want to have that relationship built so it's much easier to talk about issues or behavior struggles when you've already connected with that parent. The other thing is when you do build those relationships, they can be super beneficial to you and the children that are in your class. So do not miss out on an opportunity to build a relationship with them. So over the years, I picked up some tips and tricks from working with my coworkers, and these things helped me. So I want to give them to you so that maybe they can help you as well. So one thing that you can do is ask questions. Ask them questions about anything, their weekend, their day, or what it is that they do. The old saying is that people enjoy talking about themselves. So start with asking them questions, and I've found that it became easier. The other thing that I picked up was sharing stories. If you are a new preschool teacher or a new teacher that has children, that is a great in to finding some commonality. Really helps because then that breaks down their wall because now you're sharing something from a common place. If you don't have children, then you can share things about things that they've brought to the school, things that, places that they've gone or things that they've done, and share stories that are similar. So that's a great way to break through that barrier. The other thing you want to do is be consistent with your communication. So whether that is through email or some type of daily messaging system that you may have, also through phone calls. Sometimes it just makes them feel great when they hear things that their child is discovering because they're not there. So just giving them a glimpse into that day, sending them a picture or sending them a message saying oh, your child did this today. They were so proud of themselves or stuff like that. Parents want to be involved. They want to know what their child is doing, but they don't want to just know when something is wrong. They want to be there and be a part of the experience when things are going great as well. So just do your best to try to make sure that you are connecting with the parents before there is an issue. The second mistake new teachers make is not providing an extension to their lesson plan. So when I first started, I basically took on the position that, hey, we started the activity together, we're gonna finish the activity together. It didn't take me long to figure out that children do not finish work at the same time, and they don't even work at the same pace. So then I would have a great activity or a great lesson, and there'll be children who would run through it and be finished and would be left with nothing to do. And what do children do when there's nothing to do? They will find something to do, and that is exactly what happened. So I want to tell you that having an extension to your lesson plan, you may think that you have enough material, enough content to, share with them and have them explore and all this stuff, but there may be circumstances where that does not really matter. So how can you avoid this? You can avoid it by having an extension or two added onto your lesson plan. And if you don't get to it, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just make sure that whatever activity that you do have or that the children are able to get to, that it's something that they can do independently, something for them to do while the other children are still working. And it doesn't have to be some elaborate whole other lesson. It could just be a little add-on, something that's not fresh, that they have no idea, where you have to actually sit down and explain to them. That wouldn't be independent. Just something that you may have mentioned before the lesson started, or something they had a chance to actually explore before, but just something that they can just sit down with and do on their own. Do not wait for when you need it to come up with something, so prepare for it. The third mistake new teachers make is striving for the picture-perfect, Pinterest, Instagrammable classroom. Listen, I like cute things, I like cute rooms and all that kind of stuff. I was there, I did the same thing. And if that's your jam, then have at it. But I just want to caution you from spending so much time on that part of your classroom. So there's no shame here, not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm just saying you need to think about what is actually going to help you move your classroom forward. You can do the classroom stuff if that's what you like to do, but also remember that spending so much time on that, you're taking away from something that could really help you throughout your whole year. I mean, of course, go ahead and have fun decorating your classroom, but don't spend all of your precious time doing that and not getting to the stuff that's really gonna matter, especially at the beginning of the school year. Speaking of the beginning of the school year, I am inviting you to a free 5-day challenge that I am doing the week of July 18th. It's called Back to School Jumpstart. The days we meet will be short and sweet, but I promise you, you will go from not knowing where to start, what to do, to having so much clarity with your next steps so that you can walk into your classroom confidently. It's totally free, and I'd love for you to join. The link for the waitlist is in the description, and it's a pinned comment to this video. So I hope I see you there. So how do you spend time on something that you really enjoy, which is getting your classroom prepared with all the decorations and all the cute things, and spending time on things that will be your foundation? Write a list of these things that you want to cover at the beginning of the school year. Make sure that all those things are taken care of. Your 5 pillars, your classroom environment, which is what I'm talking about, which is the arrangement of your items. I'm talking about your transitions, your routines, your procedures, your expectations or your rules. Make sure you have a good grasp of what it is you are expecting out of your class this year, and how are you going to go about doing that and achieving that. Now, I talked about some things that you can do to create a successful preschool classroom environment in my freebie right over here, and I am not going to get into those things that I discussed in there. If you want to check it out, go ahead. The link is in the description. But I do think you should also, in addition to those things, spend some time thinking about how children are going to enter and leave your centers. And I'm talking about the way your centers are set up, as far as like the amount of the size of them, the flow of the classroom. Do you want it to be a free-flowing classroom, or do you want it to be more defined areas in your classroom? So how are you going to arrange your room, and how are you going to be able to see the children wherever they are in the classroom? So a good rule of thumb is to make sure that wherever you are sitting or wherever you are standing in the room, that you are able to see all the areas that you have created in your classroom. So those are just some of the things that you can spend some time on that will help you in the long run. The fourth mistake new teachers make is trying to do everything yourself. I get it, because I have a hard time asking people for help too. But I will say that if you don't ask for help, you're going to be stressed out. One year I didn't ask for help, and the thing was that I was so stressed out that I ended up being sick for like 3 months. And it was because I had put all this pressure on me, and I didn't ask anyone to help me out. So I definitely don't want you to go through that. So how do you avoid falling into that trap of not seeking help when you need it? You need to just let go and let others help you. Bring it to them, and then maybe they can see things from a different perspective than you can, and show you where your blind spots are. So look for building a community at your school with maybe your fellow new teachers, or even the seasoned teachers that are there, or try to create that in the school that you are in. And start by just asking their opinion on something, and knowing that this may be a struggle for you, it may not be a struggle for them. Find a community on social with different groups of people going through the same exact thing that you are. So check out some groups like the Empowered New Preschool Pre-K Teachers, which is my group, and the link is in the description. I know that was a cheap plug. And also, I want you to realize that there is no such thing as perfect, but we all work toward progress. Go ahead and drop the phrase progress over perfection in the comments if you agree. The fifth mistake new teachers make is not giving enough time for transitions. One year, my partner teacher and I had the hardest time getting the children ready for a specials teacher that was coming in. And it was almost like 3 days out of the week, we were always late getting the children to the rug to do an activity with her. A lot of it has to do with the transition period, not allowing time in between activities to make sure it's flowing. Because when you don't do that, it becomes a snowball of things that you are constantly catching up with throughout the day. And for this instance, with the teacher that came into our classroom and was ready to get started with the children, and she would be waiting there on the rug. So we would apologize, but it would still happen. So it's not fair, especially if you have a visiting teacher coming in, it's not fair that you aren't ready for them, because that's their time. So we were not only cheating her, but we were cheating the kids 5 minutes or so of that time that they got to do the activity with her. And not only that, but there were some schools that would take points off the evaluation if you were not transitioning into the next thing on your schedule. So how to avoid this? Well, you can keep a timer, which is something that I had to do for myself. I had to keep a timer, not for the not for the kids. I had to keep a timer for me. And that's how I had to work, because I was, it was really bad. And if you are working with a partner, share that timekeeping system so that, you're not always the one keeping time, that you can switch off roles to do that, just so that you both stay accountable for what's happening in the classroom. And if you have to redo your schedule, make a schedule where you are including that time into it. If you have to do that, at least for the first couple months, and then maybe it'll just, become habit after that, then do it. If you are looking for transition activities to do during those times, I have a video for that. I'll leave the card for you to check that video out. as well. And that is it. I hope that these were helpful for you. And if it means that I have to be a little vulnerable and let you know about some of the mistakes that I made, if it's to help you with your decisions when you are in your first classroom or the next year that you are in your classroom, then I am fine with that. So I hope that you are able to learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to go through what I went through. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when the next video will be posted. And until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.